Lisa, but before we go, before the microphone gets turned on, I always get nervous when I see people that I went with because I'm afraid they're here to rat me out for something I did.
Hi, how are you? No.
She probably was.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
All right, it is, and now the microphone is on. It is 7:03. I will call to order the Wednesday, March 15th, regular scheduled meeting of the Weld RE5J Board of Education to order. If you would take a moment, please silence your cell phones and or pagers. Rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jessica, would you please call roll?
Monica Johnson.
Here.
Proctor.
Here.
Nate Sasano.
Here.
Jeremy Scott.
Here.
Michael Dale.
Here.
We do not have any additions or changes in the agenda.
Okay, so we just need to approve this evening's agenda.
Move we approve as received.
Second. We have a motion by Reverend Scott, a second by Vice President Sasano to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign. We have approved agenda. Do we have citizen comments?
No, we do not.
Okay.
Unless somebody wants to speak that didn't sign in. We do not.
Okay. Let's go on to staff and student celebrations and recognitions.
Well, President Wales and members of the board, I have a staff member I want to honor, and also we have a championship team in here tonight. I'd like to acknowledge our Milliken Elementary School principal who defended her dissertation successfully on equity leadership with the Latino population. And so congratulations to Dr. Krill. We have a PhD principal in our district now. Congratulations. She's worked very hard. And secondly, oh my goodness, we have some athletes out here from Roosevelt High School who qualified and are placed in state. And in order to get to that level, it takes a huge commitment. I think they probably heard of what is that coaches out of Iowa? Dan Gable. Gable. I think he said something about if you've wrestled once, or once you wrestle, life is easy. Everything else is easy. And tonight we want to acknowledge and recognize these fine students and athletes who represented themselves well, represented your family, represented Roosevelt High School and our community. Was inspiring to be able to get to watch you wrestle, and congratulations. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up to the front, the board and superintendent, and then when I call your name, you're going to come up and get a certificate from me, and then the board members want to congratulate you individually. Okay? All right.
I know.
Is Peyton Wright in here?
No.
He wrestled at 106. Coach, anything you want to tell about Peyton?
He's a sophomore, first year in the varsity lineup. I just saw a huge improvement from last year to this year, and he's still battling. He gets a little ornery on the map, which is good. You just have to control it at times, but so he's doing well, and look forward to the next couple of years.
And for Peyton to go to state as a sophomore, that's a wonderful accomplishment.
It is.
Dylan Doyen. Did I say your name right, Dylan? Sort of right?
Sort of right,
Dylan Doyen?
Yeah, Doyen.
Doyen, congratulations. And you wrestled 1v7? And what grade are you in?
Freshman.
Wow. Congratulations. What would have been your in league? What's your favorite match?
Favorite match?
Do you have a favorite match? Probably the one.
Probably the one that made me do this.
Very congratulations. And the individual who read the 285, Leo Rivera. Leo, you didn't bring your pencil to write about this tonight,
I did not.
did you? Congratulations,
Thank you so
Leo.
much.
And tell me about wrestling this year,
Oh,
as a senior.
it was terrific. Yeah, great experiences all around. Lots of fun duels, high energy, and it was a good way to my career as an athlete as well.
And how long have you been wrestling?
This is only my second year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
How about Cade Leininger? Mr. Leininger, 113, and what grade level?
I'm a senior.
You're a senior. Congratulations. Have you been wrestling all your life?
Yeah, this is my 13th year.
Wow. 13 years of wrestling?
Yes.
I want to see which is your favorite.
Thank you.
What are you going to do once you get the diploma?
I think I'm gonna go to Ames Community College and go get certified for HVAC or something, trade or something.
Do you know how hard it is for us to find an HVAC? Wow.
Yeah. Stick around in this room for, I don't know, 20 minutes. Take notes on what happened, the cycles here. Come back and take notes.
Where is Hayden Roof? 165.
Okay.
Had a sixth placer right back here, right? Hayden took sixth. And this says here, sixth place at state. And Hayden, what grade level are you in?
I'm a senior.
Senior, do you have a good start that late?
No, it just happened at Roosevelt Invitational and just went from there.
And what are you gonna do after you graduate?
I'm going to college on Iowa to wrestle.
Congratulations. Amen. You can talk at the end for me, okay? Travis Long. You are what? Sophomore. Fourth place at state. Congratulations. How long have you been wrestling?
Pretty much all that.
Well, this is amazing. So congratulations. Where's Sergio? Me too. Here he is. 175. How long have you been wrestling? 13. Congratulations. Was this the most fun? state
Definitely,
tournament?
yes, it was. It's great. It was more fun. And last year, because I this, but this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Then we have two state champions. Chris Lalonde. Chris, 126, and you are at what grade level? And you have state. And I understand one of the matches was against someone who was pretty sure he was going to get ahead of you. Adwin, congratulations. And wrestling state champion, 190 pounds, 190, Bronco Hartson. So, are these type of injuries?
Yes. It's my second one.
Wow. Bronco, what grade level?
Junior.
And now you have two state champions, one in football,
Yes.
one in wrestling. And I believe you have all A's.
Yes.
And, wow, it's very impressive.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. And I know these wrestlers couldn't do it without an amazing, awesome coach. Coach, come on. I know you live and breathe coaching and that you are dedicated to these individuals. And I am very grateful that I got to have a chance to work with you as the wrestling coach and teacher at Roosevelt High School. And what do you want to say about this amazing group?
They're an awesome group for sure. Or amazing would be a better word. But it's just awesome to see, kind of where I started and then what we've kind of grown to. And just awesome to kind of keep that more of a tradition and get back to what, how Roosevelt wrestling was when I was in school, kind of keep that tradition moving and going forward in the right direction and doing it not only for them, for the community, the school. It's awesome to be a part of it.
Have you done anything in your wrestling room that's not going to be your room anymore at Old Roosevelt? Have you had have you taken anything with you out of that room?
We'll take the mats. It depends on if we get the right bars that we want in the new school. If not, we'll just grind them off. I take the rust and
Okay, have
some
you
of the-
gentlemen seen the new wrestling room?
I don't know.
Sometime, if you want to go see it with me, we'll take you out.
Has plenty of room. Plenty of room.
There is plenty of room in that weight room. Michael and I were out last week. Oh my goodness. How many kids can you get in that weight room?
A lot more now than what we had before. I'd say 50 to 60
Wow.
comfortably.
Well, thank you for all you're doing and thank you for your sacrifices, your family time, your family to sacrifice for you as a coach. And I know they want to give you a
Okay.
handshake too.
Well, thank
so
you for honoring us. Thank you.
Parents, we couldn't do it without you.
So we do, are we running to the
The official
the whole
picture.
group?
Yeah, come on up, wrestlers.
Are they the same? Are they the same?
Yeah, we both.
You did? But after good.
She's got my number.
Yes.
Yes.
Everybody else is good.
1, 2, 3.
And tomorrow, Leo is getting honored at a special banquet in honor of his team character.
Yes.
And I know that you have homework to do, so if you leave, you can, but before you leave, I need to put that homework right in that.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Yes, thank you.
I didn't know it lifted. It could be lifted. I just.
Well, those guys.
Yeah, you have the right team doing it.
Thank you.
And it should slide pretty easy too, actually. Thanks, guys.
And that concludes staff and student celebrations.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any reports and comments on board members?
I do have some.
Go ahead, Mark.
I'm so sorry, if you don't mind, Director Cesano. I have to step out a little early today to attend a middle school concert, but I just wanted to report to the board that I had the privilege this past month to attend 3 different literacy nights at our elementary schools, and it was such a privilege and a treat. I got to go to KQA and got to go to Elwell's night, and then today I got to go be a part of Milliken Elementary. And in the process of both of those 2, I got to take tours of the new additions of KQA and the remodeling over at MES. And there's great things happening there. It was so fun to interact with students and staff, and it was just a great honor and privilege to be there. Such a highlight of my month. So it was a good time. It's okay.
You're gonna step out. Okay. Well, have fun, enjoy the
Listen to
curtain.
this.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. Yeah.
Go French horns.
Go French Horns. Thank you.
And we'll let the record show that Director Johnson left at 7:18.
So real quick, I don't have a whole lot to add, but we're getting pretty good at recognizing state champions around here. And we have one more that'll be in front of us, I assume, in the next couple of weeks.
Right, they can come on April 19th. For some reason, we have some of those state champion basketball players who are now running track. There's a track meet on the 5th.
I see. Good. It was a lot of fun. We were able to go to the game, all of the games actually, down at the Coliseum. It was a lot of fun. The community show up, very similar to the football game. There was a lot of folks from Roosevelt. I know I heard from several parents how grateful they were that we were able to provide buses for the students to go down. And it was really cool to see our student section in the Coliseum when a lot of the other schools didn't have any there because they're traveling too far or weren't able to make it during the day. It was a lot of fun to see the community come out and support the girls. They were a lot of fun to watch, and I'll be excited to celebrate them when we get the opportunity in a couple of weeks.
Well, I'm not trying much, but actually my daughter competed in 6th grade in her first FBLA state tournament, and she did not place, but we did have 5 at the junior high middle school level who placed at state. Was it 5?
Yep.
Yeah, which was great to see because I know we've had a leadership change in that organization. Great team last year, and then of course the coach moved up to the high school, but it feels like that program is still seems to be well supported by the school, well supported by the students, and continuing to go well. You see that number of kids come out of there. So that was exciting to see, and she had a good time. So that's good.
That's all that matters.
I did a couple things. So on 3/7, I went to the District Accountability Committee meeting. We talked about 3 different topics. One was they went over the long-range task force recommendations with DAC that we have received as the board. That kind of one sheet, and there's some interesting chatter about that. Questions about the long-term recommendations. Didn't say anything about charter schools. Would charter schools be included in a future bond, and we're required by law to have that, right? So it would be, I think, but it was just a concern coming out of there. There's also concerns about, for a minute. There's a concern about whether a bond would be appropriate, especially if we're adding on to a new high school. Community sentiment would be that we just built high school and that the recommendation is to the next bond have more money to add on to a new high school. There's concerns that there might be people who is like, we just build the right size high school to begin with. But as we saw in our demographer's presentation, with the increase in population, so high school will open at the size that's appropriate for them for now for at least 5 years. But with the addition of the housing in Johnstown and potentially in Milliken, we will need to add on to that high school in order to accommodate the new students that will be funneling into there. So that was an interesting takeaway to make sure that when we're communicating the long-range task force recommendations, that we're not forgetting to talk about the demographics that are behind it. And also when we go to bond, that we're talking about that, especially addressing why we're adding more space to a new high school. We talked about universal PK, which is, I know, an awesome thing that's been going on. And then we talked about, Karen gave like a 40,000 foot overview of the super candidates to kind of jazz people up to get them to go to the LWEL thing on Friday night. So that was the District Accountability Committee. And then the night I went to the Town of Milliken Board of Trustee meeting, the cash and move for the district was on the agenda for that. It was, they had some interesting questions and they ended up tabling it. I think that the town trustees need more time to discuss it themselves. They are supposed to be putting it on their work session for next week to discuss and then potentially look at it for the town meeting. So I think going to increasing the cash and lieu for Milliken will be, I think, for new schools that are coming. Those are the two things I think.
Okay.
I think, Greg, since you brought it up, I think one of the things that's always helpful to let people know, and it's always fun to talk about when we do the tours at the high school, is, the high school is specifically designed to be added onto, in those ways, rather than building more than we need now, because then you got to take care of it, you got to maintain it, you got to heat it, you got to cool it. I mean, that's not, I don't know if that's financially responsible versus, and so that's always been a fun part of the tour to point out, hey, by the way, this is this way because
Add another wing.
this is where this goes when the time comes, and it'll be a lot easier to add on in an intentional way than we've ever been able to do to any of our schools. So I look forward to the joy future boards will have, not having to necessarily figure all that mess out and have a plan ready to go to execute that we will hand off to them.
Well, speaking of tours, we got a nice card from the Lions Club. They said that it was a amazing tour of the new high school. It was well done, and they look forward to seeing it finished. So I know David Benson was a little concerned that his tours take a long time, but there's a lot to show, and they loved it. They thought he did a great job. I always think he does a good job. I gotta try to look back on my calendar. So I had a couple, we had a couple of negotiation meetings. So we are underway in negotiation. I've had a couple, since our last meeting, a couple CASB legislative review meetings. Everything is kind of going as planned right now in the legislature. There's no surprises. Again, I will try to let you guys know if there's any bills that they are looking for some input on as far as does the organization want to take stances against it. I went to the literacy night last night at Elwell. Got to read for a little while. I had to follow up the leader or the big show, Miss Kramer over there. The kids weren't as impressed by me. And I think I heard you were there too.
Yeah, I had to follow the clown and RHS cheerleaders and stuff. So I was like, well, come on.
See, I didn't have to follow up any of that, but
Clown would be hard.
Yeah.
I did go take a peek at the clown. And then I wanted to remind you guys that on April 13th, Centennial BOCES will be hosting a legal Q&A with their counsel, their legal counsel. So as member organizations, we can go with our legal questions and ask. If you're interested in going, or if you have questions that you're just dying to know the answer to, send those to me, because they do ask that we give those in advance so that their attorney can kind of prepare a little bit on that.
When is it?
April 13th. I believe it starts at 6 p.m. I'm sorry. I did since our last meeting, I told you guys that I got appointed to the Board of Public Health and the Workforce Development Board, and both of those meetings were very productive, I think, for schools. I was able to get the operations director from the Weld Health Department connected with Dr. Zila at BOCES, or Centennial BOCES, because there's always been this disconnect there, and the county's health department offers walk-in immunization clinics for the state-required immunizations for students, and it's to no charge to the families. And the health department has been like banging their head against the wall, like, how do we let the schools know this? And I'm like, I can introduce you to a guy who can get you in front of every single Weld County school. So hopefully that'll be a good connection. And then yesterday I was at Workforce Development. Lots of exciting things going there. I pretty much committed the new high school to every event that they are going to host for the next 3 or 4 years. And I specifically told them there's people back at the administration building here saying, why doesn't that guy just shut his mouth and ask before he starts telling people they can do these things? But they are really excited. I'm going to try to get them on some of our tours. Some of the leadership from the Health and Human Services Department, which oversees all of that, the employment services piece. But they're really excited. They're really excited about the opportunities that our programming is going to be bringing to them, and yeah, just talking with some of the other folks in that department, they see us again as this new high school is going to become a hub of career tech ed and work-based learning. So it's kind of exciting. I was talking to somebody from the class of '85 this past weekend, and they said it's exciting to see Roosevelt finally being the light in this area, because for back in the '80s and in the early '90s, we were always kind of the joke to the big Greeley schools and the big Loveland schools and the big Fort Collins schools, and now it's changing where we're drawing staff members out of the Greeley schools and out of the Loveland schools, and we have more students looking at the programs we're offering. So it's really cool to see us kind of growing up and being big and important in this region. So I like that. Last but not least, we have a busy next couple days. So we have our interviews for our superintendent finalists on Saturday. That'll be previewed by Friday night. There'll be a community meet and greet at LL. And what are the times?
5:30 to 7.
5:30 to 7:30, open to the public, Elwell Elementary School. You can come meet the candidates, ask questions, and you will have an opportunity to share your thoughts and your concerns about the candidates. Those will be delivered to the board then on Saturday when we do our interviews, so we will have the opportunity to review all that. Thursday night, tomorrow night, the board will be having dinner with all of the candidates and their spouses, just kind of an informal kind of meet and greet with them. All the candidates will be touring the schools tomorrow with the help of our transportation department, who's done a wonderful job setting all of that up, and we need to really thank them, because I know they're always shorthanded, and they are definitely the unsung heroes in the school district. We don't give them enough credit for the things they do, but they help transport all the candidates around all the schools. We'll have student ambassadors that will then take them on tours of the schools. And all along the way, we'll be getting feedback from all those folks to be shared with us on Saturday to help us make a decision. And unless Ms. Trussler hands me a contract for her next 3 years, we're just going to have to keep going in that direction. Yeah, lots of fun and exciting things happening.
Busy week for you. Thank you for your servant leadership. Your commitment this week is unbelievable, and I know that we have you're missing special events, President Wales, so thank you.
I don't know what I'm missing.
Well, that's probably good then.
You guys keep them at it. Any other reports? Okay.
Would you like to hear from the superintendent
I would
on my
love
report? One of the critical areas for student success is their attendance rate. And we have a compulsory attendance law that we adhere to. And there's different tiers, different levels. If we're talking about unexcused absences, that we don't want kids coming sick to school. We want them to stay home. But should kids not come to school over a period of time, and those are unexcused absences, we at first will notify families via the teacher. If it still continues, they will get a letter from the school principal. If it goes to like unexcused absences, it gets pretty serious. And we have in this room Sylvia Martinez, who officially is the Milliken Community Court Case Resource Manager, but her real name is Elisa, one who changes lives because of what she does in the truancy prevention. And she is here tonight to give an overview. And then we have Pedro, who has gone through the program. And Casey Ross is our connection with truancy. And you really, as friendly as Casey is, if he's coming to you about truancy, it's not good news usually. And so Sylvia, because of her passion to support teens, students, what she's doing in Milliken needs to be replicated across the state. And so Sylvia, Thank you so much for spending some of your time with us tonight and to talk about how you're changing lives.
Thank you so much for that introduction, and thank you everybody else for this opportunity to share what we're doing in our communities with our restorative justice workshops. Casey Ross and Pedro and myself we're here to represent a larger group of volunteers that show up on a Saturday morning with our families and just put in everything that we have to help them realize the impact that truancy is having on everybody. And this first came about when I would hear stories from parents, the struggles that they were having with their students, or I would get phone calls from parents asking, what do I do with my kiddo? Or I would listen to teachers' stories, or even just people out in the community. And so restorative justice is one of my passions. We've been doing it in Milliken for, I want to say, at least 10 years. But the truancy workshop, I think we started in 2019, a little bit before COVID, and then COVID stopped us. And then we started in December again. I think it's when we started with our working with the school district and working with Casey Ross and just getting more families involved. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the main idea of the truancy workshop, which is the impact. That's our focus. So we get a lot of kids that are out doing what they're doing, not going to school. Some have really good reasons, some just because they, I don't want everything on COVID, but COVID has a big thing to do with our truancy issue in the district now. Kids got used to not going to school, they got behind, so now they're feeling overwhelmed and they just want to stay home. So trying to make that connection with our youth to help them see who really is being harmed. It's just not you as a student that's being harmed. It's everybody. So that's where the truancy workshop comes in place. So we use the ripple effect, and we talk about every area of truancy and its impacts and its effects. So we start off our morning with a truancy or with an impact panel. We invite, so these are all people for our community. We have someone from law enforcement, we have a parent that's gone through it, we have a community member that's in RJ, we have a student that's gone through it. And when I say through it, I mean in the court system. Received a truancy ticket at one time and has gone through the whole process of realizing what impact truancy has. And then we have someone that represents the school district, whether it's Casey Ross or we have Rena Peterson, some people that are in the district that have been trained in RJ that come and talk about impact that it has in the classroom and on them as a teacher. And then we have someone up here. So this is just, this was last month. So you can see we have everybody, we have a big group, and everybody gets the opportunity to get between 5 to 7 minutes to talk about the impact that it has on them. Let's see. So the reason that I wanted to invite Pedro here today is because Pedro has been, when Milliken was issuing truancy tickets, Pedro, I hope this is okay with you, that I share that Pedro and his mom went through our truancy court and went through our truancy workshop. And so he comes back to our truancy workshops to tell the kids, hey, listen, this is the impact that it had on me. And when I was putting together these slideshows, it came to me that Pedro's story is from regret, because he shares his feel like, man, I messed up. I messed up because of my choice. But Pedro, I'm going to have him share his story where Pedro is now. And it's an impactful story because although we want our students to understand we want you to graduate, there's still hope. So we're hoping that they do, and they don't have to go through what Pedro went through. So Pedro, do you want to share your story real quick?
Yeah. So, my name is Pedro. I went to Roosevelt High School from 2016 to 2019. I mean, it's kind of started off as, ditching class every now and then with my friends. And then it went to me just staying home completely, just not wanting to go to school. And that's when the truancy tickets started in. And if I remember correctly, I've had 5 truancy tickets. So that's how I kind of met Sylvia. So we go to court sent me to Sylvia. And then Sylvia, from my understanding at the time, this was kind of all fairly starting. So this was kind of like the early stages of all this restorative justice type of stuff, or the truancy workshop. So, I would go every Saturday, pull up, do my community service, do all this. But at the time, I didn't really realize what I was going through. So what I like to tell the kids is kind of keep it a little short and sweet to you. The main thing I tell the kids, and I think the most impactful thing I tell the kids is a little from my story where I tell them much regret about not graduating on time or not graduating from Roosevelt was growing up 12 years in the school system. You grow bonds with your friends or people that are not your friend, you just know. And biggest regret I had was going to my friend's graduation and seeing everybody I went to school walk across the state, and I'm not being one of them. I mean, to this day, just thinking about it kind of gets me in the feels. But I ended up graduating late, but I mean, there's still regret there. The things I could have done in school differently. If I would have just listened to Sylvia at the time, I would have never been in that situation. But yeah, that's kind of my story.
Thank you.
So I wanted you to hear what the kid listening to on that Saturday morning were like, hey guys, let's do something different. Let's do something different because we don't. Though you didn't tell us what you're doing now and how things worked out and how awesome you are.
So I've actually graduated in 2020. I was originally going to go 2019. Once I graduated, I started working at this restaurant, Cafe Mexicali. I don't know if you guys can tell. I started working there when I was 16, and then up until 8 months ago, I was working at the Johnstown location. They offered me the general manager position at the Greeley location. So, I mean, I'm a manager of a restaurant at 22.
So I want to make it clear, you did not bring any of the white habanero sauce.
I know.
I just want to make sure that there's no queso in this room.
Right? Thank you, Pedro. That's pretty. I like listening to this story, and I watch the kids as they're listening to Pedro. Like, guys, your friends are gonna go. They're gonna go ahead and graduate. They're not gonna wait for you, and you're gonna have this regret. And so just try and get them to listen to everybody's story. And so thank you, Pedro, for that. And I'm just grateful that they come back to their story and their experience. So these are just a couple of pictures of our parents and just listening to that impact piece. That takes about 45 minutes to an hour. And we just have them listen. No questions, no nothing, no talk, just listening to our impact panel. And then we get into what we call our restorative justice circles. We get in circles We've had such a good turnout. I mean, unfortunately, we don't want to, but we have enough kiddos that I've heard for them to appear at the workshop that we end up having at least 2 circles. So there's 2 facilitators and we have some actual community members. And by that, I mean people that have been trained RJ and that live in the Milliken or Johnstown community that know kids, which makes it even just more impactful. So this is just, this is a circle, but this is where we talk about, this is where the stories come up. We're missing school. We get to the root of the problem. And I'm not, like you see parents in tears talking about how, and here's their students listening. You know, I feel like they're judging me as a parent because you're not going to school, or I send you to school and I get a call that you're not, and now I'm worried, and now I'm missing work because I'm looking for you. So you get to listen to all the stories from these parents. The student is like, wow, like this is what I'm putting my parents through. And then of course listening to, because everybody that's in the room is a part of the school, so they get to listen to the teachers talk about, like, you know, I worry about you, or I have to take time to, you know, help you catch up, or, you know, where everybody else is already here, you're, you know, just trying to help support this student. Because we have very caring teachers in our district. I'm grateful to have them to be part of this, and I'm hoping to train more school district staff to be a part of this. So this takes about an hour. It takes a long time to hear from everybody. And then we come together to do what I call is table talk. We go back and we have the parents and the students, along with everybody, the community members, help the students set goals. What do you need? What do you need from us? What do you need from our community, from parents, from your teachers? Are you struggling with anxiety? Are you struggling with math? Do you need glasses? What is it? Let's get you that support. And so we come together and they work on that. They put it on paper. So we can have a copy and they can have a copy, and just getting ahead and going forward from that point on. We do ask outside resources. I believe we have someone from North Range coming in this Saturday. You're all welcome to attend, and just having those services available in case someone needs something. So that's also a big part of our workshop, is having them there in case the family is seeking something, whatever we can support them with. And so that's, right now we're working, Casey, Ross and I, we've had this conversation on the follow-up. They see them on that Saturday. We see their goals, we see what they want to do, what they need to do, how they need to be supported. Now, how do we follow up, whether it's with phone calls or in-person meetings afterwards? We're still working on that piece, and maybe Casey Ross can kind of talk about it in a little bit if he would like. That's the process. I wanted to make it short and also just give you an overall, just an overview of what we do on a Saturday. And we're doing our workshops every once a month. We're aiming for the 3rd Saturday, and we're just gonna keep doing it. Whether we have 1 family show up or 8 families show up, we're just gonna be there. We decided that on the May workshop, we would celebrate every success, every effort. I know from what I hear, we have some students that are, maybe they're not going the 5 days out of the week, but they're going more than what they used to. So we really celebrate those small efforts from the kids. I hear from parents, he's trying because now he knows, you know, when I decide to miss school, I'm part of my community, my parents, myself, the teachers, people that care about me. So they're not just thinking about themselves. They're thinking about the ripple effect that it has on everybody else. So thank you for listening,
No,
and I
thank
would
you.
like to, if you have any questions, that we can answer, I would like to do that this time.
So what you just showed us, the impact panel,
Yes,
the table talks and all that you do that once a month?
correct.
Okay, so it's not every Saturday?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's not, we used to do it quarterly, and we felt the need to do it once a
little more
month, to
regular,
just,
yeah.
have it on the calendar, be prepared. So volunteers, we have volunteers that come in and do that, so we have different volunteers. Sometimes we have the same volunteers, they just want to be a part of it every Saturday. So I'm very grateful. It's definitely takes a village, and that's what we are here in Milliken and Johnstown.
So Sylvia, thank you very much. I
You're
know
welcome.
that, yes, oh, sorry.
I was just,
Yeah.
how many kids have been through the program at this point, you think?
Casey Ross?
I think 22, 23, since our first one is in November.
Oh, it was in November.
And so we've had
Mhm.
the last 3 months, so about 22
For this year.
for this year.
For this year.
Are you finding that there are any root causes that are more generally prevalent than others? Amongst those things should be looking to address preventatively. I mean, obviously with the goal would be to keep the kids,
Right,
Ever-
right.
services are great. I'm glad we have them, but it would obviously
Right.
be better if we could find a way to, so Casey, I assume that's Mr. Ross part of what you're doing, but
Right. I was just gonna say, a lot of mental health, we get feedback about like the classrooms and, the long periods are hard for them, the few minutes.
Mm.
But we teach our kids, or we tell them like, that's what we do. That's what we do when they go into the workplace. I mean, they're at work for, a long time.
Mm.
And so mainly mental health. Would you agree, Casey, or?
Yeah, definitely. And I have, it's a bad habit that's been formed over time, that this is something that, that I can do and have a choice to do, and it's not gonna affect me or anybody else, and then it just kind of grows over time.
Yeah.
So I think that, what this does is that, prevention piece, how do we get in early and build a culture in our schools at a young age that how important attendance is, and where that can lead down the road, and then help families in elementary age see that as important too, and where it can lead, and just that's probably where our work is going to be moving forward, so that we can start building that. And so hopefully we have these that are not as full, right? I mean, that's really the ultimate goal, that we have these great workshops. It's a wonderful thing, but we want to have not as many in the seat.
You're trying to work yourself out of a job, Casey.
Yeah.
That would be wonderful.
But, the powerful thing with restorative justice, sorry, can I keep
Yes,
the powerful
yes.
thing with what I see and what's neat for me is I've been able to be a part of it, and just to watch the conversations that these families have, looking at the eye with son and daughter, parent, and having a conversation with how it's a powerful thing, and I think we're seeing kids make it's slow, some kids, but they're making changes and going forward, and we've seen some really good things from it. And I mean, I feel like this is just a good practice in all kinds of areas, of helping families connect with their kid way that maybe they wouldn't in a home conversation, just because they're, I won't say forced to, but they're in a place where they need to figure something out.
There is a point in the workshop where Casey talks about the consequences of like, okay, you've already missed 18 days. This workshop is to kind of give you basically a fresh start, to find out how we can support you. If you're still in school, this and this and this will happen. So parents are, then students listening to like, this is gonna happen if something doesn't change, because you have to school. And, I believe that we'll see the fruit of our work, up in the next year or so. Right now, we're still kind of tweaking things and hopefully just making a little bit of an impact at the end, because I know that right now it's a problem in our district. And our kids need to be in school, need to be educated.
I have a few questions too.
Yeah, I was going to ask real quick if I can, about the numbers, and that's maybe a question for you all. You had 20 to 25 kids come through the program so far. Is that, what's the need? I mean, do we have hundreds of kids
The
that we're talking
numbers
about?
that,
Or?
that will show, if they come, they get that helps get them out of truancy court. The numbers, and it's, you have families that show up, more that are showing up that are not showing up.
I think we have more showing up than not.
Yeah.
You know, I refer 10 to 12 probably a month, and had 8 somewhere between 5 to 8 show.
Okay.
You know, if we, honest conversation, if we follow our, and this is other districts around us too, and other ones, if we follow our truancy law of 4 days in a month, 10 days in a year, it is hundreds of kids and families that we would, you know, be looking at this kind of process. So we're starting at trying at the extreme and trying to move down. We know that we do have a list, and this is what it looks like, and this is how we follow to hopefully support you and help you be successful and graduate. It is a big number now, and that's not just us, that's
And parents are grateful. When I talk to parents, they're like, thank you, because they need that support. Like, I don't know what to do with my student. And so they're asking for help. And so they take time off work they have to work on a Saturday, they show up.
Good.
Mom or dad, they show up, and sometimes we have both parents show up.
So,
Do you have a question?
other question just about resources. You talked about folks you're having come to these meetings, and is there anything that we could provide or consider providing? I know Mr. Everest cringes a little bit when we start about money, but is there anything you need to make this program more successful that we could help to provide in some way? And maybe you don't know right now, but I'd be curious if there was something, some way to help.
Supporting financially
We already are.
to help with the costs. And we have, I know that Mr. Ross will let us know if there's stuff we need.
We're happy to let you know.
Okay.
What about a facility? I'm good at giving up facilities.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sign up here. Go ahead,
Well,
ma'am.
hopefully we don't have to have a little room. Hopefully we'll live.
Yes. We need,
Yeah.
smaller is better, right?
Smaller is better in this case, but if anybody would like to participate and be a community member or represent the district, talk about like, hey, of course we do it in a very gentle way. There's some training coming up at the end of March that you're welcome to. It's an RJ training as a community member and as a facilitators training. So
If
let me
you'll
know.
send that information to Casey
Sure.
and me, that'd be great. Knock it out.
Yes, please.
Okay.
So I will do that one.
All right, a couple questions.
Yes.
Each of each month Saturday you're doing, is it the same kids who come every month, or is it different kids each month?
Different kids.
Okay. And are they kids just all of RE5J, or is it just related to Milliken or Johnson?
Roosevelt. So we serve both Milliken and Johnstown kids.
Specifically Roosevelt High School, you said?
Well, right now there's the kids that have been being referred. We had a middle schooler. We've had a couple of middle schoolers. So it's for everybody. I don't know if I would do elementary. That might take a different type of a program, but it's geared towards middle and high school students for both all schools.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Most of our families was on this 2000 level.
Right.
Was that it?
That's it, thank you.
So that was a good I'm glad you asked that question, because I guess I wanted to ask a follow-up and maybe a clarifier on that, because I do have people who ask in the community about, well, who is the truancy court for? Because it's in Milliken, they assume that it's only for Milliken residents, but it's in Milliken because that's where this office is located. Is that correct?
Well, I work for the town, so the programming is provided through the town of Milliken.
Okay.
But our kids are our kids, Milliken, Johnstown. But we don't, so community court, we don't issue truancy tickets anymore. Milliken doesn't. So this is where we had to get creative, and we wanted to continue to support our students that were struggling in this area. And this is why we're doing it. We partnered with the school district to help all students. So, and I understand that confusion is like, so it's not just for Milliken kids. Any type of support that we do here in Milliken, we see it as supporting the entire district.
Okay. That's always been my understanding, but
Yes.
then when people ask me that question and they seem to have, I mean, they seem to make a really good argument that it doesn't include anybody else but Milliken kids because of Milliken. I'm like, well, I don't know for sure. So is participation in this, is that a court order from the community court?
No. So this is maybe ordered from the school district.
Strongly encouraged.
Encouraged.
Okay.
So this is, I believe, so they do this, and if they go through this, they don't have to go through
Weld County Court.
through the county court.
So, okay, so that's what I was gonna ask, where's the teeth? And so the teeth is, and if you don't participate in this program, then the district will
Yes,
refer
we
this to district court.
Yep.
Or county court,
County
I
court.
assume, at that point, okay.
Right.
So, and we had an individual here, this would have been 2 years ago. We had a family come in who, I think they had gone into county court and, I mean, they were looking at massive fines. And I had no idea, thousands of dollars in fines. That's not from community court, that would be from county court, is that correct? Okay.
Right, yeah. No, Milliken doesn't, our court doesn't issue truancy tickets. So,
Okay.
I'm kind of naive to that. Why did Milliken stop issuing truancy tickets? And when did that stop?
when we became a court of record in, gosh, I want to say about 2 years ago, because we were getting a lot of truancy tickets in our, and we would just court order them to attend the workshops. So that made it like, oh, like it was just enough, they would just go through that process. But like I said, we just have to get creative, and restorative justice practices is being used all over the place, and it works. And I believe that this is the way to go right now. And hopefully it does. Hopefully kids understand and they go back to school. They don't have to go through that court process.
Yeah, Casey works with our attorney and with, if need be, they're in court.
And is it the same for other jurisdictions?
Yes.
That they all just refer to the county or they refer to this program?
Correct.
Okay. So Greeley and Johnstown don't do it either?
We send ours to Weld County. I don't know if we had a birth, it would still go to Weld County.
Okay.
Yeah, because Johnstown can, they issue truancy tickets. So their court is still, I don't know if they're issued, but they can still take truancy tickets.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
Well, you shouldn't have said that because that just confused me, so. I'm gonna let it go and I'll circle back with Casey.
I think Casey has it down already, so we're getting there.
So Sylvia, what is your full-time job in the town of Milliken?
At the town, so I am the case manager for our juvenile cases that go through our court of justice system.
Okay.
And then I provide, try to bring in resources, outside resources. We have a big presentation coming out April 20th. I'd love to have everybody there. That's for parents. And then I run the MICL program on Tuesdays. We had our 9th year anniversary yesterday.
Well, congratulations.
Yes, thank you. So that, just providing a lot of prevention work for our kiddos. And again, we have both Milliken and John kids that show up for our MICL programs every Tuesday. So they're mentoring and anything that they need.
You're busy, okay.
Busy, yes.
She's gonna do a Mickle Junior at Kansas.
Oh, nice.
After spring break, yes, for 4th and 5th graders. Hopefully it does help the truancy program that we have, to just get those kiddos support before they get into the middle school. So we'll see that, we'll report back and let you know how that
That'd be
goes.
great.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you for this.
Well,
This
thanks.
is wonderful.
Pedro,
Thank
thank you
you.
for coming too.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. And
If you have any other questions, Casey Ross has my contact information. Feel free to reach out to me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Gotta go in and get a burrito now.
I know.
haven't had Kansas Mexican.
I started with that white sauce. Just put, you can put that in your back pocket. That's that's my second favorite.
Yeah.
Pedro, we're gonna be like this. Looking forward to it, Pedro.
Thank you.
Thank you. Say, President Wales and members of the board, I wanted to also update you that we have a couple, in April, we're also going to be working on the curriculum complaint policy, KEC, and that we're finalizing that we're going to be able to bring forward for revisions.
Okay.
And also in April, we're going to be talking about bringing forward feedback from citizens on the potential boundaries that we discussed. And we're going to have a parent meeting on April 12th for those families at Pioneer Ridge. And that'll be an initial meeting. And then I think it's our next board meeting, we'll be following up with you on that. Finally, it is almost CMAS time. And so Mrs. Kramer was going to give you an update about CMAS.
So exciting. Good evening, President Wales, members of the board, and Superintendent Tressler. Yes, we've been working all year to prepare for our CMAS testing as well as PSAT and SAT testing. So currently Karen Weiser and I are doing trainings at each of the 7 schools. We did 2 today, we have 2 tomorrow, 3 on Friday. And it's a required training that we have to do every year. So we're doing those currently. CMAS, the state testing for English Language Arts and Math for 3rd through 8th grade is April 10th through 28th. Also, there's CMAS Science that is for 5th, 8th, and 11th grades, also during that testing window April 10th, 28th. And then PSAT and SAT is for 9th, 10th, and 11th grades, and that's April 12th, 13th, or 14th, depending on which school we're talking about. And the big thing, we're just really encouraging all students to participate and do their best, and hoping that all of the parents in our community will really support that and making sure kids are at school during the testing window, and don't set appointments during that time and things like that. We have a lot of communication going out through social media now to really encourage all of that. Just really gearing up for that to get started. So trying to make sure that this year is much better than last year's, and following all of the procedures. We are back into the swing of doing our state testing after.
So we're working on it. We're going to get there.
Yep.
And that concludes the superintendent report.
All right. Any questions? All done, you. We'll move to our report from the CFO's office, Mr. Everett.
Thank you, President Wales, members of the board, and Superintendent Tressler. Tonight, I just have a brief CFO update on the condition of the school district. So thus far, or through February, we've had 108.5 student contact days. That is 65.6% of our digital contact days for the year. We have received thus far, or through the end of February, 48.6% of our budgeted revenue. That breaks down to 72.5% of our state revenue, 24.1% of our local revenue, and 26.7% of our federal revenue. Through the end of February, we have expended 57.6% of our budgeted expenditures in general fund. We are within expectations for this point in the year with our expenditures. We're not on a trajectory to overspend our budget. Our schools range from a low of 56.1% of budget spent to a high of 59.5% spent. This concludes the CFO report. I can answer any questions the board may have.
A question.
Yes.
Would you please remind me what our October count was for the entire district? I was trying to go through and look at things, and I was like, oh, I can't remember our October count.
If you give me 1 second, I can find that for you, Director Proctor.
3,829.5. Let's see.
You sounded pretty confident about that. I'm gonna write that down. confident about that. I'm gonna write that down.
We should have a word from our sponsor while we're doing it.
Yeah. If I were at my desk upstairs, I'd be able to find it for you quickly. I apologize.
When are our ESSER 3 funds coming in?
ESSER 3, we still are in the process of getting the budget together for that.
Okay.
So that will happen, once that happens, it will happen quickly.
Got it. I distracted you, I'm sorry.
Gotta let him answer the first question, please ask the second
Oh, I'm
question.
Here we go. Okay. So the district's student count, or for the October count for the current year was 3,790.5.
Oh, I was 30 kids off.
By Price is Right rules, you failed.
I was over.
Well, and that's with the averaging. So that is.
Can you say one more time?
3,790.5.
All right, wrote it down. I won't forget it now. Thank you. That's with the averaging. So.
That is with the averaging, and I don't have down the actual count on this. I don't care about funds.
So I could still be close.
You could still be close.
What'd you say?
3,829.5.
So by Price is Right rules.
Yeah.
She's out.
Yep.
I was thinking it was like 3,200 when I was looking at it, and I was like, this doesn't seem right. That would be completely off.
That is
3,200 might be without charters, though. Without the charter counts, it'd be somewhere.
Just the core district, just 5K is 3,242.5.
Okay,
So that's
all right, I
what
was close. I was remembering roughly what it was. Okay, thank you.
You got it.
This chair is so squeaky, I'm sorry.
Oh, I hate that.
We'll put that on the.
Josh is putting
Josh
my
is
belly
like,
on it.
Where's the WD-40?
Great. That's it. I don't have any more questions. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Mr. Harris? Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
We'll move on to our consent agenda. Our adopted rules of parliamentary procedure provide a consent agenda listing several items for approval by the board by assumption. Most of the items listed on the consent agenda have gone through board review and recommendation. Documentation concerning these items have been provided to all board members and in advance to assure an extensive and thorough review. Any item may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of a board member. Otherwise, I would entertain a motion.
Move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay.
I have a motion by Vice President Sassano, a second by Director Proctor to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Jessica?
Amanda Proctor,
Yes.
Nick Sassano,
Yes.
Jeremy Scott,
Yes.
Michael Wales.
Yes.
I don't know why all of a sudden I just wanted
Blanked. It's okay.
I don't know why.
It happens to me all the time with her name too. I'm just like, who's this woman sitting next
Because
to me?
Monica's not here now.
All right, we will move on to special business.
President Wheels and members of the board, earlier I talked about leave bank and leave assistance for our classified employees and our administrators. To bring something forward to you with, if I had staff support, I was, I guess, very curious and wondering why this wasn't here before. We have teachers have access to a sick bank and also leave assistance if it's for different circumstances. And classified overwhelmingly said, yes, we would love to have one. We didn't know we could, or no one's advocated for it, or how do we get it done? And so I visited with Michael Evers on the leave bank numbers, and I visited with Annette Miller, our HR expert, and we were able to work with what JMEA has as their max, so it mirrors. And so we're ready to come forward and approve a leave bank for classified administrators that's just exactly like JMEA. And then also leave assistance. This would be for both of these, or if you're completely out of leave. The leave assistance is often used for parental leave, And that would be where I could deduct 2 of my sick days to someone else. Last year, I tried to do that for a teacher, but I wasn't allowed to because that was an agreement. And so that's when I realized I wanted to make some changes. And so we're bringing this forward for your approval, and then you may see it with a board policy in a future month after we get things ironed out and make sure everything's in sync. So
You just anticipated my question. It's like, is this a policy or is this?
this can be a regulation. We need your approval.
Right.
And then there's a policy, but there's not this lead bank policy or this lead bank agreement as a policy. So that is what is unique about it, whether we need to have the policy.
This teacher, this is part of the JMEA agreement.
Right.
Okay, so it exists. So this needs to be just.
So it's in the master agreement. If we
Well-
have, yeah.
Well, thank you for being the one to advocate for these staff. I didn't know we didn't have this either, as I don't think Martha's did. So I'm grateful to see this done. I have no objections.
Does this create 2 lead banks? One for
Right now it does, because we have, if JMEA wanted to work out an agreement where we do a joint bank, but they are in charge of their bank.
Right.
And I don't think they want to be in charge of more groups of staff. So that's something that can be talked about in the future.
Is that brought up in negotiations this year? Yeah.
I've only brought up that, not officially with negotiations, I've talked to their exec leadership that I was advocating for a lead bank.
Okay. I have no problem with this, but it's silly I have 2. And I'm like you, I didn't know we did this for administrative staff either, but I'm also wondering about cost of running 2 different. I mean, I know it cost be minimal, but your day is worth more than a teacher's day. So I don't know how that comes out in the wash, but I'm just thinking out loud right now. Again, I have no problem with what we're doing, but it seems silly to have 2 different things.
And I know that this takes up a lot of time for JME because they manage their bank. It may be advantageous for them to say, hey, you're doing the same thing. Can't we combine? And then if I'm able to give a day to a teacher, I can give a day to a teacher and vice versa. So
The other thing
this is the beginning.
The other thing I wonder about is if the policy, I guess, for lack of a better term, for the bank lives in the JMEA master agreement. A teacher that's not a member of JMEA, and I realize they are few in our district, 30%, I think, something like that. They can still apply with JMEA to use that leave, and they still have to give the requirement of the days comes from any teacher, whether they're a member of JMEA or not.
Correct.
So it makes sense to me then that the HR office be managing that leave bank if a non-member is applying to use that. And I realize that has to be negotiated with JMEA. I'm sure it would be. But anyway, again, I'm thinking out loud and just putting stuff on the record. So.
Yeah. I had a question on one of, I don't know which one, it's one of the 2-page documents on bullet point number 8 is an individual who was assessed the leave bank and resigns their position in the same park year will be docked their daily rate of pay for each day used bank. Can you explain a little bit more about that? I read it like 3 times and I'm not sure. It's a little bit fuzzy for me and I don't want it to be fuzzy.
So if someone uses the bank and uses 30 days and then 2 weeks later quits and it's February 15th, because they have been provided support for those days and agreed, that's what we got. Is that a little clear?
Yeah, so on their final paycheck, if they quit in February, their final paycheck, if they received 5 days from the bank, their pay would be docked those 5 days.
Those 5 days.
I guess my concern would be if your final paycheck wasn't enough to cover the dock, I guess they would just have to zip it. They might be shocked. Like if it was a catastrophic event, like they need 30 days from the leave bank, and then their final pay was
And I don't know if that's
$2.
the previous, and I don't know if Tammy's dealt with Jamie.
I don't know. I was thinking of the most, because I like to think the most catastrophic situation, because everything else is easier, right? Like if we can figure out that, everything else is easy. Like it just,
And they may find themselves in the spot where they owe us money, you know?
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
It's like, that's one of those things, like, would they, the money, or we just like take their entire last paycheck? And do they understand that? I guess.
What they agreed to it when they sign up
Okay.
on the sign-up sheet.
Because that's part of the agreement for this.
Do you think we should add something to that number 8, that they wouldn't, that if their final paycheck wasn't enough to cover the doc, that we wouldn't owe us money? Because I wouldn't want to, if someone's, we're taking their whole paycheck, I wouldn't want to be like, hey, you owe me $3 more. Like, you know, like it just seems
So I
like
don't,
salt in the wound a little bit.
I don't think legally we can do that. I think if they have money, we have to say that. We don't have to go after them for it. But I don't think we can, and we'd have to check on HR
To dock their
policies.
pay?
We can
We'd
dock
have to-
their pay,
I
but
can dock their
I
pay.
can
if it
follow
goes
up with you
past
on that.
what,
Yeah, I just kind of like I said, I'm thinking the most catastrophic terms, but I just want to make sure the language will cover that, because it'll be a once a decade event, and I want to make sure that it's clear for that once a decade event. That's it.
Good questions. All right. We can take action, and it is recommended that we do.
Is there a recommended action?
Approval is the recommended action.
Huh?
Approval is the recommended action.
Okay, so it's not a policy, there's not
It's
specific.
not a
language.
policy, but it's under special business. Do you approve us moving forward with establishing a sick leave bank for administrators and classified, as well as leave assistants? And we can continue the discussion to see about combining it into one.
well, I have one more question in that vein before we make a motion, sorry. Which probably is after we make the motion, but that's neither here nor there. I'm wondering about the numbers, because there's not very many administrators and or classified staff in our district, right? Most of our staff is certified.
There's quite a bit of classified.
Yeah, couple hundred.
Is there really that many?
With
Okay.
administrators, yeah.
Okay. Then never mind, because that pretty much evens out. Okay, never mind. You can make your motion now.
Well, I was, I'll do it, all right. Well, I will approve the creation of the leave bank for administrative and classified staff.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Reverend Scott, a second by Vice President Sassano to create a leave bank for administratively classified employees. Any discussion?
I suppose it is a leave bank, not a sick leave bank. 'Cause I think sick leave.
I think I just want to make it very clear that we're approving this with the intent of at least investigating combining the two with JMA. At least that's my intent.
And bring it as a negotiation item, right?
Okay, well,
Not this.
I'd be curious what other districts do.
there's one,
Most of the districts
most districts have one bank
administered by the district.
That's why it was-
administered by the district.
Even if they have a master agreement? It's in the
Yes.
district, okay.
I will check with the surrounding districts. It's one bank, but let me do some checking to see if there's any that have a separate bank for Teachers Associated.
So part of that investigation would be whatever kind of additional administrative costs the district might take on trying to administer all of that. Looking after you, Mr. Evers,
Any other discussion?
because that would need to be part of the negotiation with JMA.
I'm not sure of this motion now, like, this motion feels a little bit loaded. Like, do we need to modify the motion to caveat the directive, or do we just keep it, Director Snow's request as a directive outside of the motion?
I think it's a directive outside.
Your prerogative.
Directive outside of the motion?
I'm okay with that as long as it's on the record that we want to at least
We'll bring it up.
investigate. having-
Yep,
having-
look at it.
I don't want to make it a directive because we don't know if that even really makes sense. We think it does. I think it does. You know, still a lot of questions, I guess, about that part.
I just not get in the way of getting this thing out the ground so that people who need it have access to it.
Yes. Yes.
Any other discussion? Jessica, would you please poll the board?
Amanda Proctor,
Yes.
Nate Sassano,
Yes.
Jeremy Scott.
Yes.
Michael Will.
Yes. All right, we'll move on to new business, policy amendments to EBCP.
We are looking at addition in our school, to have an additional option for our school closings and cancellations with a delay the start or delayed start, especially in the spring.
Should have done one this morning.
Especially in the spring storms, when the snow is heavy and it's melted and gone by 9 or 10 o'clock. And we think this will help with schools being able to clear walkways, parking areas, and also roads will be better. When we visited with our groups and informally, it's like calling a snow day. I like it, but only if you can let me know the night before or as early as possible. I'm not crazy about it. I'd rather have a school cancellation or please, whatever makes sense. So, but I think this will assist safety and also being able to get our buildings open. So other districts, once you get in the hang of it, they understand that 90 minutes means if I'm supposed to be at work at 7, come to work at 8:30, and school starts at 9, depending on what it is. I don't want staff there at the regular times. We need to clear off the parks and the driveways. So everybody comes 90 minutes late. So delayed, excuse me, the start. We don't want people late. Delayed start.
So that's the option.
Yes.
So it gives you the
Gives
option.
us the option,
Gives the
yes.
superintendent the option to add it, and then when a delayed start announced, we would announce the timing as well. Like there isn't a fixed amount, and like every delayed start is not going to be 2 hours. Some might be 90 minutes, some might be.
We are hoping to keep it at 90 minutes so
Okay.
that it's set.
But I notice there's no time frame in the policy because
Correct.
you still there's some leeway there. Okay.
There's a legal room.
Everybody
We've
I've
asked
heard really likes
principals-
the idea.
Yeah,
so.
we've asked principals to make schedules for the 90-minute delayed start. We think it's doable, and we would still have some essential staff at the building because someone will show up early, and we want to make sure they're safe.
Yeah, and I would assume for like, I'm sorry,
No,
but
go
for
ahead.
like our middle school and our high school, they've got an idea of what the plan would be, either shorten the blocks or
We have,
shorten the.
yep.
Because my concern is that everybody just misses first period then, right? You know, and then
They were
they
doing
so okay.
So we will, and as I told staff, I said, now remember this, I'm revising a policy, so I'm bringing it up. They aren't voting on it until April 5th. So let's not have any snow until April 6th.
Well, I've had a student or a staff member in this district for almost 10 years. And for that entire time, I have wondered why, on days like you're talking about, especially in about this time of year, when we get the snow overnight and roads are fine by 10 o'clock the next morning, we haven't had this policy in place. So I'm very glad to see that this is an option.
Okay, let's see if we need to roll it out.
Hopefully.
Tammy and I've worked it with a delayed start in other areas, and sometimes attendance an issue, but we'll deal with it.
I think attendance is community anyways, because if your parent doesn't feel safe to take their kid to
you're right.
school, they're not gonna let their kid to school, whether it's canceled or in session or 90 days.
You get, young high school students, drivers on roads that are icy that usually cannot be sometimes icy by, 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning.
And they're the first ones on the road.
Right.
So we'll be ready to implement if we approve on the 5th.
And yep, we'll be ready April 5th, and it can snow on April 6th.
And
No, that's Holy Week. They can't do that. Sorry.
Now we know that
That's
it's good.
not till Easter. That's
Yeah.
the first step.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Good old Easter.
I put in a word. We'll be fine.
Okay, thank you.
And now I'm confused. We do have a motion second, right?
No,
that's
not
first
on,
reading.
not on a,
Oh, is that?
I think what's in.
I would
You're
like
right.
to, but then
You're
would
right,
be breach
correct.
that policy. We would breach
Unless you
one
want
of
to
your
call another
policies.
meeting real quick and we'll just.
Nope. I
Adjourn
was,
this and call another one for.
I was still, this was still set to the previous, item, so I was like,
Technically, could we approve it at our meeting on Saturday or Rivers?
I think it has to have public review time.
Yeah.
Like
Oh.
some odd days, not like some.
I don't know I don't remember what it is, but it's some amount of review. Which we want.
No, absolutely.
All right, and we don't have any citizen comments on gym ethics. Any other items deemed necessary by the board? None. Thank you, everybody, for a wonderful evening. We are adjourned at 8:27.
Thanks, Chris.